Have you ever asked, how do I maintain my credit? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about maintaining your credit. I will cover the good, the bad, and the ugly. Welcome to Your Clear Thinking. I'm Roderick Mitchell, author of Credit Straight Talk, Clarity on the Conspiracy. This video is part of a series of videos designed to help you build a solid credit foundation. I mentioned the good, the bad, and the ugly, which are on-time payments, late payments, and delinquent payments. Let's start with the good, on-time payments, which are payments that are received by your creditor before the due date. If you are making your payments by mail, you are responsible for mailing those payments and allowing enough time for it to be received and processed by the due date. Payments made online are received and processed much faster. A good idea would be to set your payment due dates so they fall consistently when you have money, and also get an online payment option even if you normally pay by mail. You having a credit rating as paid as agreed is as good as it gets for credit, and maintaining it is very important for your credit report rating. Your history of on-time payments qualify you to enjoy special privileges. Examples of those privileges are preferred customer status, loan processing that is streamlined, and higher credit limits and lower interest rates. These privileges may not look like a big deal at first, but when you examine them individually, they are worth having. Preferred customer status means that all of your payments on your previous agreements were paid as agreed or better, and you are classified as a low risk for repayment and favored for future business. Streamlined loan processing gives you a very short waiting period or even immediate access to the funds you want. Increased credit limits and low interest rates allow you to borrow more money at a lower cost. Next is the bad, which are late payments. They are your first steps in having a bad credit report rating. Once late payments are reported to the credit reporting companies, they will penalize your credit rating for an extended period of time for 5 to 7 years. Remember, if you know in advance that a payment will be paid late, it will be to your advantage to call your creditor, explain the situation, and ask the creditor to extend the due date or to defer that payment to an agreed on time in the near future. And make that payment as agreed and continue to make your scheduled payments on time. The negative effect of late payments is that they are considered a breach of the agreement. The result of that breach is a future denial of credit or a high interest rate, which creates a burden all of its own. And the burden being that it increases the chances of more late payments that will negatively affect your credit report rating. Last is the ugly, delinquent payments. When you start having delinquent payments, you are at the point of no return for your credit report rating. When multiple payments are reported delinquent by your creditor, your credit rating will drop drastically almost immediately. The situation has now reached the point that even if you pay the delinquent account current throughout the life of that agreement, it will not help your credit report rating. Your creditors will allow you to write an explanation of the situation that caused you to be delinquent and attach it to your credit report account information. This attachment will accompany your credit report, but it will not raise your low credit rating. The negative information that was reported will remain on your credit report until it reaches the statute of limitations for that particular item. The statute of limitations is the guideline or rule determining the period of time that a particular item will be reported negatively. Your delinquent account is often turned over to a collection department or sold to a third-party collection agency. Collection agents will try to collect the money that is owed for that agreement, using pressure tactics, urging you to forfeit the merchandise, or by offering discounts on the balance that you owe. Remember, if you enter into a payment plan of any kind to pay that agreement, your statute of limitations begins over again, and that bad information will still be on your credit report. But it will show that it has been paid. Because once the ugly has been reported to the credit reporting companies, it's on your credit report until it reaches the statute of limitations. Also remember that if an agreement is 24 months old or more unpaid, it is better left to leave it unpaid, because the agreement is already close to being removed by the statute of limitations. Collection agents will ask your permission to even repossess the particular merchandise. And then once they get it, they say they'll sell it and apply that money toward the balance that you owe. But they never tell you that the sale of that item is never enough to cover the balance that you owe. So that really doesn't do you any good, because it's still there. I mentioned repossession. Repossession is often very stressful and unpleasant situation, because repossession agents use tactics that are similar to harassment. And after a prolonged period of time, if the repossession is not successful, the item will no longer be a target for repossession, because it'll be considered too costly to pursue. At this point, the account is written off by the creditor as a loss, meaning uncollectible. The debt written off still negatively impacts your credit report. All collection actions are regulated by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, FDCPA, which prohibits mental warfare type telephone attacks and email bombardment campaigns. You can report these violations and be compensated for the unfair actions if you can prove that you have been wronged in the collection process. Remember that you understanding and the maintenance of your credit will be one of the most important things that you are solely responsible for your entire life. It will have a major impact on your consideration by employers, insurance companies, and creditors. Your credit will play a big role on your social status by dictating where you live, what you drive, your activity participation, and the schools for your children. In this video, I talked to you about maintaining your credit and explaining how on-time, late, and delinquent payments affect your credit report rating. Next is, how do I understand my credit reports? It's also the next video in this series, and remember to subscribe below and select the bell. My name is Roderick Mitchell, and together we rise.